Is it really time to be planting potatoes already? You have got to be chitting me. Hey everybody, this is Danny, the wicked awesome gardener, and today we are going to start preparing our potatoes to go in the ground. In order to have success with potatoes, you need to allow them to pre-sprout before putting them in the ground, so that when you do plant them out, they are ready to go. You can see on this potato here, these sprouts just beginning to start. And then you have things like this one here that are an eye, and then you have another sprout, you have an eye, and another eye. And those are all areas, all those eyes that could potentially sprout and begin a new potato plant. So I want to give these as much time as possible to sprout before we go ahead and put them in the ground. Now to do that, I want to lay them out in a room with a lot of ambient light, but not direct sunlight. So we're gonna put them here on some paper bags on my kitchen table, because this window, it may get a tiny bit of direct sunlight in the morning, but very quickly it goes away, and this room is bright, but they're not right in direct sun. This year I'm growing 3 varieties of potatoes. This is an Adirondack Blue. I'm also growing Purple Majesty and Kennebec White. So here, to make sure that I know which of the blue potatoes is which, I'm gonna put the Adirondack Blue on one side, then the Kennebec, then the Purple Majesty, and that way we'll be able to keep them sorted for when they go in the ground. Let's bring you in. Hey everybody, Editing Danny popping in for just a second. Just wanted to let you know that this video is part of the Shed Wars 2022 Northern Hemisphere Challenge. So part of what is great about Shed Wars is it's all about teaching people how to grow. So here we're going to talk about growing potatoes, chitting potatoes, getting them ready for planting. So I think it's really valuable information that anybody growing a garden should know how to do. Also, this is part of a little bit of a challenge because John over at Will It Grow did say that there are some levels that you can reach. I think first is growing 20 pounds of onions for level 1. Growing 50 pounds of potatoes is level 2, and I am here for it. After you watch this video, go ahead, check out some of the other great channels that are involved with Shed Wars 2022. You definitely will not regret it. There is so much great information being shared out there while we're growing tons and tons of food for our families. Now back to your regularly scheduled potato chitting. You just want to spread them in a single layer. See if you can get as many eyes upright as you can, as many sprouts upright, so they can see the light and grow toward. I'm laying them out like this versus dumping them out so that I don't break off any of these sprouts, because every one of those sprouts is a potential potato plant. Oh, that's a good one. That's a nice looking potato. Whoa, look at this monster. That's a good one. All the potatoes I got from these bags last year were tiny, so this is totally a different world from what I had last year. So hopefully that means that I'm going to grow some bigger potatoes next year. Everything in my bag of Kennebec White last year was little, like this guy. Quite the difference from this to that. Oh yeah, lots of eyes, lots of sprouts. There we go, there's a little guy. That's a little one. These Kennebecs are pretty much at the point of where I would want to throw them in the ground anyway, but I'm going to let them at least sprout over the weekend. Here's the Purple Majesty. Looking at them now, I think I would be able to tell them apart from the Adirondack Blue because they are definitely darker. These definitely need more time to sprout and to chit than the others. I think that next week I'll probably plant these, maybe some of these, and those will go in as a later succession. Not too much later, just maybe a week or so. But there we go. Now, there is a part 2 to this process. So I'll see you again in a few seconds for you and about a week or so for me to show you the next step. Okay, so it's 2 weeks later and we are ready for the next step in chitting our potatoes. These have just been laying out here in the ambient light that's coming through this window, through these shades. These are kind of like a kind of burlap loose weave sort of material. So it gets some ambient light, but not a lot of direct sunlight, which is what you want. So these have been reaching for the sun. So this is what you want to see. You want to see a lot of good sprouts on there. The Kennebec whites did really well. The Purple Majesty has grown a little bit. Adirondack Blue is doing okay. These haven't done as much as I'd like them to, but we're going to just go ahead and get these chitted up. When planting your potatoes, you have 2 options. You can just take the whole potato and plant it as is, or you can take something, when you have a really large potato like this, you can cut it into pieces and plant the individual pieces, and that will get you more plants. And there is some argument as to which is going to give you better results. I'm trying both this year. Last year I just planted whole potatoes, but they were all tiny seed potatoes like this one, not giant seed potatoes like this. A large potato like this, I'm a little nervous is going to rot in the ground before it really gets a chance to do much growing. But others will say that this large potato will just give that plant so much more energy. But really, I think we're kind of wasting some potential here, because if I were to cut this potato and then let it scab over, which is what we're going to do today, we can have 2 eyes on this piece, we can have 2 eyes on this piece, and based on what I'm seeing around the rest of the potato, I could have another 1 to 2 eyes on this one. So this potato right here could technically be planted in 3 different places and give me that many more plants and that many more potatoes. Now, would I take something like this little one, and cut it up? No, this I would plant just as is. It's got 2 really great sprouts on it, so we're just gonna plant that as is. This one's gonna get chunked up. Here's another really great example with these Adirondack Blues. We've got on this one potato 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 good eyes, and then we've got just a couple extra little ones that could still potentially send up a sprout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to section this off. So I'm going to look all around the potato. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cut right here. Let's turn this around so you can see it a little better. So I'm going to cut off so that we have these 2 and these 2. That is such a cool color. I can't wait to grow these. So that leaves this sprout and this sprout. And then I'm gonna see, we've got the other eye here, potentially here. So now, instead of just planting one whole potato and having multiple sprouts, I'm gonna plant this here, this one that gives me 1, 2 sprouts, and then this one has 1 good sprout on it and a potential for another over here. So we're going to put that so that none of these flat cuts are facing downward. We're gonna just let them be exposed to the air. I'm gonna put a fan on these to help them dry, and we're gonna let these sit for a couple of days and scab over. Just to show you this one with 2 sprouts, that's little. It's gonna just say just like this. So we're gonna put that right over there. That one's fine. This one we're gonna lay out. Again, another small potato with just two, the start of a third, but I'm not going to bother cutting that one because it's so little. Here's a larger one, and this has 1, 2, 3, 4 sprouts. I'm going to slice that one right along here. This potato is actually kind of rotten. I'm going to let that sit out by itself, and we're going to see what happens with that one. That was rotten before I even cut it. Here we have 2 really good sprouts on the top and 1 small sprout over here. I think I'm actually going to leave that one whole. This obviously is going to stay by itself. That one's tiny. That one is staying whole. That one is going to stay whole. All of the eyes on this one seem to be kind of close. I'm not going to bother cutting that or that. This one has a couple of eyes, but they look like they failed. They did not continue to thrive. They did not sprout, so we've just got that one right on the top. We'll let that have all the energy from this little potato. Here's another one, same story. It's got another sprout over here that still has some potential, but I would rather plant this one and have a chance at 2 plants coming from the same potato versus planting this one and then potentially losing that. We're just going to let it stay. Again, same story. So you don't always cut the potatoes. I don't anyway. Here's a good one. So this one has a couple of sprouts up the top, a couple on the sides, another one over here, another potential over here. So get a little space. Bring that over so you can see it a little better. So we've got 1, 2, 3 sprouts up there, and just make sure I'm not. There we go. So we've got some good sprouts there. Let that scab over. And the rest of this one has 1, 2, 3 sprouts on it. But they're all kind of in a ring around, and then there's nothing really much happening here, so I'm going to let it have the whole rest of that potato. This is another one kind of like that other potato where we've got just really good sprouts there and then 1 potential here, so I'm just going to leave it as is. And another big one. It's got 3 different sides here that are sprouting pretty well, so we're going to get that one, a middle section, and the end. There we go, and we'll be back in a couple of days when these have had a chance to scab over, so you'll see what they look like. And then we're going to be ready to get them in the ground. Pretty simple, all things considered. We're just cutting these so that we have more potatoes in a way, and so that's going to help increase our harvest. Like I said, we're going to give this a couple of days to scab over because you don't want to put them in the dirt with these freshly cut because that's going to leave them open to rot. So we're going to let it get a good protective scab over this, dry up, and then once they're ready, we'll pop them in the ground. Well, here we are about 4 days later, and these potatoes are ready to go in the ground, and let me show you what I mean. So you remember how bright blue this was when we initially cut it. It's been about 4 days, like I said, and now it's got a nice leathery skin just over where we cut. So it's healed nicely and dried up. And now this, with its nice 2 sprouts, is ready to go in the ground. We're not gonna have to worry about them rotting out from the cut side. Then we're gonna get extra potato plants, extra potatoes. Now the one that I did cut that was hollow and was already kind of moldy inside, that one did not work out so well. But all the rest of these potatoes, all the Kennebec whites, it's got a nice leathery skin on it. You know, those worked out really well. This one especially is a great example. Really, really solidly healed. I'm not actually going to be planting my potatoes today. I'm going to be planting them probably over the weekend just because of time constraints on my end. But if I wanted to put these in the ground right now, they are ready. If you guys got some value out of this video, if you think this is going to help you with your potatoes, go ahead, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, give this video a big thumbs up, and leave a comment down in the box about how you plant potatoes. Do you chit them? Do you cut them? Or do you just take them from the bag, throw them right in the ground? Because I have certainly done that before too, and managed to get a pretty decent harvest. So this is all kind of experimental to me to see if, say this potato that is not cut is going to give me better results than these potatoes that are cut. So we'll have to see. But I have heard both sides of it, that yes, it gives me way more, and I got about the same. So I figure it can't hurt and giving it a try out. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming along today. Again, like, subscribe, share this video out, leave me a comment. I'll see you next time while we grow more wicked awesome food from yard to table. Bye-bye.